Pretoria, South Africa. A quiet neighborhood in the late 1980s, the sun sets over cracked pavement and schoolyards filled with echoing laughter. But for one boy, there is no laughter. Elon sits alone at lunch, small-framed, awkward, and too quiet for his age. While other kids trade comic books or chase soccer balls, Elon buries his nose in a thick book. Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy. He's just 9 years old. Teachers call him intelligent but odd. Classmates have a different name for him. Robot Boy. His voice is too soft, his eyes too lost in imagination, and his questions always too many, too deep. Why does gravity exist? Could humans live on Mars? At an age when most kids dream of summer vacations, Elon dreams of starships. But difference has a cost. He's bullied relentlessly, not teased, assaulted, thrown downstairs, punched until his nose breaks. At 12, he is hospitalized after a group of older boys ambush him and slam his head into a concrete sidewalk. When asked why they did it, one of them simply shrugs. He talks weird. At home, things aren't easier. His father, Elon Musk, is cold and strict, a man with genius-level intellect but little warmth. Elon's mother, May, a model and dietitian, tries to protect her children, but the marriage is crumbling. Eventually, they divorce, and Elon chooses to live with his father, a decision he would later call one of the worst mistakes of his life. And still, amid the chaos, he turns to books. He reads everything he can: science, philosophy, physics, engineering. By the time he's 10, he teaches himself computer programming. At 12, he builds a video game and sells it for $500, but no one notices, no one claps. The boy with bruises and big dreams remains invisible, but he's watching the world. And quietly, the boy no one believes in begins planning how to change it. At 17, Elon Musk packed a small bag, kissed his mother goodbye, and boarded a flight alone. He wasn't running away, he was running toward something: freedom, possibility, and the dream of America. South Africa had been a cage, filled with violence, fear, and voices that told him to stay small. But Elon wanted more than survival. He wanted the stars. He landed in Canada with barely enough money to survive a month. No apartment, no connections. Just determination stitched into his bones. He slept on couches, stayed in youth hostels, sometimes on floors, and picked up any job he could. He cleaned boilers that reached 120 degrees, shoveled dirt in construction sites, and endured chemical exposure for meager pay. The work was exhausting. The days were long, but Musk didn't complain. He was building something, not yet in code or metal, but in character. While most people his age partied, Elon devoured books and mapped his future. He enrolled at Queen's University, not just for a degree, but to get closer to the United States, the land where innovation lived. In class, he stood out, not because he was flashy, but because he asked questions no one else dared to. His professors saw it, his classmates didn't get it, and yet Elon kept pushing forward. Eventually, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. There, he double majored in physics and economics. At night, he built projects. In the day, he studied relentlessly. And all the while, he watched Silicon Valley rise from the ashes of the dot-com boom. To him, that wasn't chaos, it was a signal. This was it, the moment. He realized that true change didn't come from inside the classroom. It came from taking risks, from betting on the impossible. So he made a decision that would alter his life forever. He dropped out, not out of fear, but out of belief. He wasn't finished learning, he was just ready to start doing. Elon Musk arrived in Silicon Valley with no fame, no fortune, just ambition and a borrowed desk. He and his brother Kimball founded a company called Zip2, a kind of early online city guide for newspapers. They didn't have money for rent, so Elon slept on the office floor, using a beanbag as a bed. In the morning, he'd wash up at the local YMCA and head straight back to coding. He worked 7 days a week, often 20 hours a day. Investors didn't understand him. Clients found him awkward. But his code was clean, his ideas sharp, and his vision unstoppable. In just 4 years, Compaq bought Zip2 for over $300 million. Elon was 27 and suddenly a multimillionaire. He could have retired then, bought an island, vanished from the chaos. But for Musk, the money wasn't the goal. It was a tool, fuel for something far bigger. Next came XCOM, an online banking startup during a time when people were still afraid to type their credit card numbers online. Most said it would fail. But Elon pushed forward, merging XCOM with another company to form what would soon become PayPal. Again, the odds were stacked against him. Competitors laughed. Bankers rolled their eyes. But Musk didn't stop. He believed in building things that could break systems and rebuild them better. Yet even success came with sacrifice. At PayPal, the board grew uneasy with Musk's leadership style. During a trip, they ousted him as CEO. He returned not to applause, but betrayal. Still, the company sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. Elon walked away richer than ever, and more restless than ever, because he wasn't chasing comfort. He was chasing questions no one else had the courage to answer. What if the human race could become multiplanetary? What if we could build cars that ran without gas? What if we refused to wait for the future and created it ourselves? Musk wasn't done. He was just getting started. After PayPal, Elon Musk could have disappeared into luxury-bought yachts, vacationed endlessly, and lived quietly as a tech millionaire. But instead, he chose chaos. He poured nearly all his fortune into two ideas. People mocked relentlessly: space travel and electric cars. First, SpaceX. In 2002, he founded the company with one bold mission: to colonize Mars. The press laughed. Engineers quit. Industry experts dismissed him as a rich kid playing astronaut. But Musk, fueled by the books he'd read as a child and the future he envisioned, didn't flinch. He hired a team of rogue engineers. Together, they worked out of a rundown warehouse in El Segundo, California. Their goal: build a rocket from scratch. They called it Falcon 1. The first launch? Failure. The second? Another failure. The third? It exploded mid-air. SpaceX was bleeding money. Time was running out. Even Musk admitted this was his lowest point. At the same time, he launched Tesla, buying into a small electric car startup. When no one believed EVs had a future, car reviewers mocked it. Oil companies smiled. The world had already decided electric cars were a fantasy. And yet, Elon bet everything. By 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX were nearly bankrupt. He had just enough money to save one. But Musk made a move few would dare. He split his remaining funds between both. If they died, they'd die together. If they lived, they'd change history. In December 2008, on their fourth and final attempt, SpaceX launched Falcon 1 into orbit. Successfully became the first privately developed liquid-fueled rocket to reach space. Days later, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract. Tesla, that same month, secured critical funding and barely escaped collapse. Elon Musk didn't just survive 2008, he rewrote the future of two entire industries, while the world watched, doubted, and waited for him to fail. After 2008, something shifted. Elon Musk was no longer the strange billionaire chasing science fiction dreams. He was the man who had proven the impossible was possible. The media, once skeptical, began to lean in. Investors followed, but Elon didn't slow down. He accelerated. Tesla's Roadster had launched, but the world still thought electric cars were toys. Musk wanted to prove they could be better than gas cars in every way. Faster, safer, smarter. He pushed the Tesla Model S to production, a sleek, fully electric luxury sedan with cutting-edge technology and zero emissions. Critics said no one would buy it. Then came the orders, thousands of them. Motor Trend named it Car of the Year. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Tesla. But success didn't come quietly. Tesla faced production delays, financial pressure, and public doubt. Musk worked 100-hour weeks. He slept in Tesla factories, eating cold pizza off metal tables, personally fixing software bugs at 3 a.m. He tweeted updates, he fired underperformers, he made enemies, but he kept building. Meanwhile, SpaceX had its own revolution. The Falcon 9 rocket wasn't just reliable, it was reusable. For the first time in history, rockets were landing back on Earth, upright, ready to fly again. That changed everything. NASA partnered more deeply with SpaceX, international contracts rolled in. In 2020, SpaceX became the first private company to send astronauts to the International Space Station. But Elon wasn't finished. He launched Starlink to bring internet to the remotest parts of the planet. He unveiled plans for the Tesla Cybertruck, Neuralink brain interfaces, and the boring company's underground tunnels to revolutionize transport. To some, it all seemed like madness. To others, it was the work of a visionary finally being heard. The boy who once sat bruised in a South African classroom was now building the future for an entire planet. But changing the world doesn't come without a price. And for Elon Musk, that price was personal. As Tesla grew and SpaceX launched rocket after rocket, Elon became a household name. People admired him. Critics attacked him. Every tweet made headlines. Every misstep went viral. His personal life became tabloid fuel. Divorces, public meltdowns, emotional interviews. Behind the numbers and launches was a man running on fumes. He spoke openly about the pressure. In interviews, his eyes would drift. He admitted to sleeping on factory floors because there was no time to go home. His voice, often calm in public, sometimes cracked. He tweeted in the middle of the night, sometimes funny, sometimes concerning, always honest. And yet, he kept going. He wasn't fueled by fame. He was driven by fear. The fear that humanity might waste its chance to evolve, to innovate, to survive. For Elon, building Tesla and SpaceX wasn't a career move. It was a mission. He didn't care about luxury. He didn't throw lavish parties or retreat to mansions. Instead, he sold all his real estate. He simplified his life. He poured his energy completely into work. He became the richest man on Earth, while still sleeping in a spare room at a friend's house near his SpaceX launch site. People called him arrogant. Others called him obsessed. But obsession is what it takes to bend reality. And for Elon Musk, reality wasn't something you accept. It was something you rebuild, piece by piece, even if it breaks you. The kind of figure history rarely sees more than once in a generation. His companies are unsimply brands. They re-symbols of what happens when vision collides with obsession, and when failure is treated not as defeat, but as fuel. Tesla isn't just making cars, it's leading a global shift to sustainable energy. Charging stations now stretch across continents. Millions drive electric, not because they had to, but because they want to. Musk made clean energy cool. SpaceX is rewriting space history, launching more rockets annually than most governments combined. The Starship program is actively preparing for missions to the Moon and Mars. Reusability isn't science fiction anymore, it's routine. And with Starlink, Musk is putting high-speed internet above remote villages, mountains, even oceans. The very sky is becoming connected. But for all the innovation, Elon's legacy isn't just about rockets or electric motors. It's about mindset. He dared to dream beyond what people said was realistic. He ignored the laughter. He endured the criticism. He failed publicly, painfully, and kept building anyway. And because of that, millions today dare to think bigger. Kids read about him and believe their weird ideas might matter. Entrepreneurs look at their struggles and know it's part of the process. Dreamers, once silent, now speak loudly. Elon Musk's story is still being written. There are no neat endings, no resting place, no final chapter, because he doesn't want to be remembered for what he's done. He wants to be remembered for proving it could be done. And that might be his greatest invention of all. Elon Musk's journey is far from perfect, and that's exactly why it matters. He was never the golden child, never the obvious winner. He didn't walk into rooms with applause. He built his stage with bruises, late nights, and impossible dreams. He made people uncomfortable because he refused to think small. He made mistakes because he dared to move fast. He failed again and again because he tried what others wouldn't even attempt. But in every failure, he found fuel. In every doubt, he found drive. He turned rejection into resolve, pain into power, criticism into code. And the boy once labeled strange, the boy who was beaten for dreaming, is now building tunnels beneath cities, sending cars to drive themselves, and launching satellites that light up the darkest skies. The spark that was once hidden in a quiet South African kid now lights fires in others. In the classroom, in the lab, in the garage, in the mind of a kid who doesn't fit in, but believes they can. Because Elon Musk's story isn't just about him. It's a mirror. A reminder that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be doubted. It's okay to fall behind. As long as you don't stop running. In a world that tells you to blend in, sometimes the only way to truly matter is to stand out. And maybe that's what Elon understood long before the rest of us. That the future doesn't just happen. It's built by those who refuse to wait for it. Behind the headlines, the rockets and the billions. Elon Musk remains, in many ways, the same boy who once sat alone, reading in silence. The tools have changed, the stakes are higher. But the core, the relentless curiosity, the refusal to accept limits, is untouched. He's not always right, he's not always polished, but that's the cost of building while bleeding, of dreaming while doubted. Musk is a man who talks about colonizing Mars while barely sleeping on Earth. A man who's faced bankruptcy, heartbreak, humiliation, and kept going. He doesn't walk the path of least resistance. He digs his own tunnels through resistance itself. Some call him a genius, others call him reckless. But even his harshest critics know one thing: he's impossible to ignore. Because Elon Musk doesn't just build companies, he builds momentum. The kind that drags industries forward, whether they're ready or not. He inspires not because he's perfect, but because he's imperfect and still moved mountains. He reminds us that greatness isn't born. It's carved painfully, slowly, and stubbornly out of failure, obsession, and vision. And maybe, just maybe, that's the spark we all carry. Waiting for the moment, like Elon, when we finally decide to light it. This isn't just Elon Musk's story, it's a blueprint. A reminder that brilliance often begins in isolation. That the kids who don't fit in, the ones who are told they're too strange, too intense, too different, are often the ones who end up changing everything. It shows us that success isn't a straight line. It's jagged, messy, full of collapse and comeback. Musk's journey wasn't paved by luck or privilege. It was built with pain, sacrifice, and an obsession with fixing problems most people didn't even know existed. He didn't wait for the future. He demanded it. He questioned everything: gravity, transportation, education, even the way we access the internet. He redefined what's possible because he refused to accept what was. That's what makes this story more than inspiring. It makes it contagious. Because if one boy with broken glasses and a quiet voice could one day build cars that drive themselves, rockets that land themselves, and ideas that scare billion-dollar industries, then what's stopping you? You don't need permission to dream. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You just need one spark. And the courage to never let it die.